Hi, everybody, and welcome to Red Wings Rant, where tirades and impassioned pleas for your Detroit Red Wings finally have a home. Today, we've got our our last questions before we head into the draft. Specifically with the draft picks, is anybody really going to be that upset with any direction that we actually go in?
Me.
Does anybody have a lot of concerns?
Me. I have a lot of concerns. If we make all 5 of those picks in the first 2 rounds, concerns that next year's product won't be very watchable.
Okay, yeah, that's legit. I guess I meant with actual picking Steve said he for sure is planning on picking number 9. I'd also add that Elliot Friedman has been very adamant that one of the first things he learned when working in the NBA from Isaiah Thomas, he's been very adamant that everybody lies right now. So basically, when Steve said he's definitely using that number 9 pick, he won't be using it.
What the heck? Matt, very important. Where's your hat?
Oh, yeah. I'll go get one.
Thank you, Jared. I agree. There should always be hats on mats. That's what I think. I'm going to try and sneak in some NBA here too. If we're talking about Isaiah Thomas, he just traded for yet another guard, another guy who can't defend, another guy who's injured all the time, and he traded him in such a way that the salary cap infrastructure of that team is completely fucked. They have $164 million for 4 players. NBA teams can have 15 guys. There's no longer a mid-level exception. So somehow they're going to have to fill 11 roster spots with guys making the absolute minimum wage salary in the NBA. So I can't wait to see how Isaiah Thomas goes now.
Well, can we... think about the statement I just made. We weren't saying Isaiah Thomas.
I'm just saying.
knows the way.
I would be concerned over anything that he's saying. Dan B is right there, baby. Trade all 5 picks in the first 2 rounds. Get DeBrincat, Carlson, Hellebuck. Here we go. Yeah, let's go.
All right, Dan B. Yeah, he wants to get DeBrincat, Carlson, and Hellebuck. Can you guys imagine how easy it's going to be to win the cup in NHL 24? Holy, oh man, I can't wait.
That team's going to be
Dan B, sign me up. Sign me up. Honestly, though, if I think about it, what do I spend more of my time doing? Playing NHL 24 or watching Red Wings
telling
games?
Us about how much you play NHL 24. Jim Johnson asking, sure. Where's yours, Mikey? I actually don't own a hat, Jim. That's a weird thing. I don't own a single hat. I'm the hatless one.
You don't own a hat?
No, I
actually want to go golfing.
Yeah, I'm gonna just be blind and sunburned.
Huh? Now when you say gonna, you do golf, so yeah. You just mean this summer eventually when you?
Yes, I got my first one this Saturday, hitting the old links.
Nice. Oh yeah, should we talk about how we played 3 games of Top Golf and Matt came out on top twice?
Yeah, it's a different game. It's a different game than actual golf, where you can worm burn everything.
There's still a winner and a loser, I feel like.
Yeah, there's things that...
Are we really about to put it at Mike, I won Scrabble the other night. Whoa, it's no Monopoly. So
hey, easy there. First of all, you would never beat me in Scrabble. That will never happen.
See? One game
would never happen. I am happy to lose to you in Top Golf, which is not golf. But yeah, I will never lose to you in Scrabble.
So that's what you got to do, guys. You got to find out what games are most important to Mike and just never play them because he can't even talk. Well, you know what? We won't do it. This is brother stuff. This is Mike not allowing his brother to have a victory. He's already taking it away from me. This is
Matt. Good old sore winner Matt had to bring it up.
See, worst other stuff that will never die. He's right. Mike is right. I'm big enough to admit Mike's right. I was a sore winner Mike, what
winning
you?
a nonsense game where you were able to
It's not nonsense.
capitalize, where
Mike,
you were able to capitalize on
no,
your ability to hit worm burners with every
this
single golf club, man.
this was your idea, and it just so happens that Matt's perfect for Top Golf, and you got crushed.
I try to
You
do
got
you a favor and
trounced.
make your lack of golf skills finally pay off, and this is how you repay me.
Man, I can't wait to destroy you in the pickleball tournament. All right. Jared's saying, all right, that's enough. All right, guys. Another reminder: draft party. We will be there, but we're hoping you guys will come say hi if you are hanging about. Yeah, let's grab some beers. Let's celebrate the number 9 pick getting traded up, so that we can pick up Mitchkov.
Ooh.
Everybody on board? Or to Brinket,
Oh.
or who Elliot Friedman threw out there today, who I'm not excited about at all. Travis Konecny. Look, there's a number that we've been focused on, Mike, when it comes to these JFresh player cards. And finishing doesn't appear to be Travis's number 1 take home, right? I mean,
Right.
It's a 5-on-5 game. From even strength offense, it looks great. Even strength defense looks terrible. We'd be bringing in another guy that isn't bringing a lot of punch to special teams. Can I just say,
He'll fit right in?
Yeah, I don't know if you want to give your take before I give mine, but
no, I would just say there's some extra context here. It was Elliot Friedman? Was it on his most recent podcast talking about Philadelphia? Further blowing it up.
Yeah.
They're actually a team worse at goal differential than us, so they have even more reason to blow it up. Yeah, I mean, you'd be prying one of their, I'm using this term loosely, top players in Konecny. I don't know if I'm necessarily doing cartwheels over this acquisition, but he does have a reasonable contract. 5.5 to be, I don't know, I guess the second line. It's a little confusing his positioning too, because I couldn't get Hockey Reference to confirm he was a wing. It kept saying he was still a center. Meanwhile, Cap Friendly.
Yeah, you can land on a winger. You don't have to. Yeah.
So 100%. I just this would be a very unimpressive move, because I feel like we kind of wanted a guy that was going to be known for some scoring, and he did put up a 30 bomb this season. He had a couple 20s in the 19 and 20 seasons. I just wouldn't be excited about this. I guess the one nice thing is that we know that Yzerman has a fetish for very short contracts. And if you're only trading for this guy and you're not giving up as much as you would have to for DeBrincat, you're on a short-term commitment. And then by then, Yzerman's picks, will actually be people, and they'll actually be, playing and producing at the NHL level. So I don't know if this is, a scab player one of those, ice a team guys. I mean, we don't really have 30 goal scorers on this team.
Right.
So he would be our only one. I don't think he really moves the needle. I don't think he's a guy that, you could start thinking about, we got a more threatening power play. I know you already alluded to that. Like, what does he really bring on special teams? So this sounds like it would be a peripheral move, I hope. And if this is, actually coming to fruition, if this is the only move, I think pretty underwhelming for the city of Detroit.
Yeah, Righteous 247 throws out there. He'd take Chase on before, and he did throw in the correction there. Konecny. Dan B. Konecny equals no with an eye roll emoji. Good point here from Chewy too. Also mentioned Puce, Chason not coming back. So kind of a bummer there. So I would just say, like, here's the biggest issue I had with this. This is, I think across the board, we're all like not excited about it. But the reason, so this was one of those, I don't know how often you guys listen to 32 Thoughts, but every now and then they record an episode, and then Elliot has to call in hey, I've got to mention this as well. So they have a fully recorded episode, and then Elliot thinks this is so important, he calls in to make sure it gets fit into the podcast. He doesn't have solid info on Konecny. He knows he's being shopped. He came to Steve Yzerman because he said, this is a guy that looks like the kind of guy Steve Yzerman would pick up. And I'm just like, oh, great. Because he's great for the middle six, making $5 million. Like, oh, God, that's exactly what I don't want to hear, is that Steve is now creating this, like, persona that, yeah, bring me your $5 million middle six guys who will fill out a team, score more goals than probably a guy did last year, but will we be any closer to the playoffs? No. It's like, okay, great.
It's the Red Wings are the Statue of Liberty. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe, the wretched refuse teeming. Just bring them right in. I think that the reason that you'd be bringing this guy in is it wouldn't cost as much. As a DeBrincat, and you only get him for 2 years. It's only a 2-year commitment. You're getting him right as he's about to hit his physical peak, and then he's gone. And so I think it would just depend on the what we're sending out, and if that means you're not sending one of your firsts out, maybe you're only sending a second rounder out. Could you stomach that? A $5.5 million cap hit and one of the seconds?
I could stomach the cap hit. I just, what am I getting excited about for? That's my problem. I just don't know. This doesn't do that much for me. I'm not going to be like running. I'm not going to tell you like, Mike, we have to run home after this draft and record the Travis Konecny episode. Like it'll come a week later, and we'll talk about where he fits in the lineup, and we'll talk about, all those little intricacies of the move. But like, get excited, like throw a quick pod together. That's not what this is for me. This is like all right, well, we have something to talk about now, but it's not I don't know. I guess if we win the trade, that's great. But am I the only one that would feel that way?
Well, he might be a change of scenery guy. Again, even with some really rough numbers here, even with him not really contributing on the special teams, he would have still led the Red Wings in goals. So if he's contributing nothing on the power play and he's just kind of throwing this in an even strength, and you're only giving up a second rounder, it's not like we have an overabundance of guys who are scoring goals. So maybe that's the silver lining. He doesn't have a crazy cap number. You only got him for 2 years. And if you're only giving up a second round pick, maybe.
It's still, for me, not something. I think that's the thing. It's just it's a move. It's a move that one could argue it doesn't necessarily move us backward, but right? We're still just nickel and diming it,
And let's we got a new name in here. I don't think I've seen Darren House before, but he's saying Konecny was really decent when Philly was not terrible, so he could very well turn it around in Detroit. Yeah, I don't think it's completely outside the realm of possibility, Darren. I think it would just be, as long as we're not giving up firsts for this guy, it's a low risk commitment. If it's only one of those seconds, I think you could stomach it. Especially, and it has to not be the only move. But
right. I mean,
Matt pulling out some sexy names here, by the way.
I mean, yeah, Nikolai Ehlers is my boy that we've been talking about for a while. Winnipeg has said he's not on the market, but he's not on the market until he's on the market. You know what I mean? Like, he's not on the market until we come to Winnipeg and say, "Hey, can we have this up?" Like that's right. Isn't this a difference we want? Like an even strength, positive, finishing, positive, power play, positive. And then we never looked at Keller's player card, and we've talked about him so many times. But yeah, like Clayton Keller, another winger, even strength positive, finishing positive. Maybe the power play is not there, but it's an upgrade over what we were just looking at. And you got 5 years on that cap too. That feels pretty good.
Well, let's maybe pose this question.
Would you rather give up more and get Keller, or give up a little less and get Konecny?
I think that this group of people listening to this show would all rather get Keller, right?
Right.
The real question is, would Yzerman want to give up more draft picks to get Keller?
Well, he said it himself, like he's going to look at each draft pick and decide, would he rather have the player or have the like the people that watched that conference, the press conference of Steve Yzerman this past week, and are like, oh my God, did you hear what Steve said? Like, take off your aluminum caps. He said nothing. That was one of the worst press conferences I've ever listened to. That was awful. Every question was just, well, we might do this. We might do that. Or it was him saying, I prefer to make my picks. And it's like, great. Wow. How great. What a fun thing to hear in this press conference. Not that you needed to hear anything else, but why did we have a press conference? Well, what was the point? Do you like your new coach? Yeah, I like my new coach in Grand Rapids. Huh, how about that? Oh, do you think Sebastian Cossa is going to be in training camp and could fight for a job? Sure, why not? He'll be there. Those were his answers to everything. There was nothing.
That was a not since last week's Nikola Jokic at the podium answers have we seen such non-committal, please let this be over as soon as possible. Like, that was a contractual obligation press conference from Yzerman. And real quick, Chewy, not going to make the draft party, having hernia surgery. Dang, good luck, man. Good luck, man. I know that doesn't feel good.
God damn, Chewy. I love you, man. I hope you're okay.
He did get another new cat, by the way, so he should be in good spirits.
Jim Johnson thrown out there. Let's get Connor from the Jets. Yeah, Kyle Connor is actually on the list, right? Like, he's on the trade block. So is Mark Scheifele. So is Hellebuck, like we were joking about. I want to throw joking out there because I don't want to spend for Hellebuck. And there was somebody mentioned not going after Carlson. It was like, yeah, absolutely. We are not going after Erik Karlsson. That would be... Oh, that makes my stomach turn if we made one of those decisions. I have heard some scuttle too. That oh my gosh, what was the other scuttle? Yeah, Vancouver might be willing to sell, but kind of along with that conversation, we'll come back to our PowerPoint slide here. Get away from the JFresh player cards, Mike. We talked about trading for Ethan Bear's rights or putting in a restricted free agent, whatever you call it. Vancouver's not going to offer sheet him. Mike, wow. Ethan Bear is my target for free agency. Another thing Elliot Friedman reported today. I think good news on the right side defense side. I think you got a young defenseman here, pretty young, who had some success on a pretty crappy team. I would absolutely give Ethan Bear a look. He is not going to cost you a lot because he's not walking away from a championship winning team. He's not walking away from just a game-changing performance. And you're talking about a guy who is going to be going into a negotiation saying, hey, I had third pair minutes. So is he going to have a lot to point to? No, it's just sort of like some eyeballs looking that way for Ethan Bear because he's on the younger side. And I think this will be affordable. This is somebody I'm going after. Ethan Bear, 100%. Right side defenseman, come on, let's go.
Yeah, he's not the sexiest pickup, right? I don't know if he's really Yzerman's cup of tea either. Like, he's not a huge dude. He's got a little beef and cheddar at 197, but 5'11" defenseman. I don't know. I just don't know if he really tickles Yzerman's noodle.
I think it is absolutely possible to bring in defensemen who aren't all 6 foot. I mean, it's going to happen. I don't think it's across the board. Like, Yzerman has made moves for guys that aren't the size of Moritz Seider. So I don't know. Like, I feel like every episode we blow that out of proportion. I don't think we need to focus on any guy that's above 6 foot. And you could throw some diversity in your lineup, damn it.
Yeah, I mean, you can. But yeah, continue your point. I just.
Is that? I thought this was exciting. I thought this was something where we need a right side defenseman. We talked about trying to make a play for this guy, and now he's just available.
I just want to throw this out there. Osterley, 6 foot. Haig, 6'2". Lindstrom, 6'2". Sider, 6'3". Ole, 6'2". Wallman, 6'1". Sherratt, 6'3". So I don't know if we're going to pick up a third pairing small guy. And this is when Yzerman turns the corner. I'm just saying, we haven't set a precedent for picking guys at that size.
You're equating the height to bad play, but you just gave me a list of guys who are above 6 foot.
Well, I know that Yzerman equates good play. I know he equates good play to size, which is how we ended up with Sherratt for 4 more years.
Right. True. So maybe he'll see the light. I don't know. I guess I get what you're saying.
He does have Elmer Soderblom in the pipeline, man. He loves big people. He doesn't like this guy. He's under 6 foot. He's like on Tinder. Don't swipe right unless you're 6 foot or above. Like, I don't know if the Bears gonna get swiped right for Yzerman.
We'll see. I'm calling it out. Somebody I'd go after. I like his jib. I like the cut of his jib.
I mean, if
Ethan Bear, look at that hair, it's all slicked back.
I think he just liked that his last name is Bear.
Yeah.
If it was Ethan Cuddles, would you still? Well, yeah, I'd pick up Ethan Cuddles.
Yeah.
Ethan Ferret.
You might be getting in the territory of.
What about Ethan? What if his name was just Ethan
making fun
Smith?
of somebody's last name inappropriately? I will say I do love the last name. But yeah, I it might have started like the eyeballs. It might have turned my head. To see what's going on there. But yeah, I'd go after him. We need third pairing defensemen as well, and we need some right side defensemen. And I'm not too thrilled about what we've been putting out there. So let's do it. Chewy throws out there, call him Baby Bear.
I do.
I mean, if you're about to argue that it's not exciting to talk about, that's one thing. But I don't understand the pushback on this one.
He's nothing particularly special, and it doesn't seem like a guy that Yzerman usually targets. So it doesn't seem like a very likely acquisition.
Well, I was hoping Ben Sherratt wasn't going to be a likely acquisition, but Steve Yzerman blew my mind on that one. Okay, here we go. We'll be right back. We got a quick ad coming. Thank you, sponsors. I think you guys will hear something. They've got a new job for us. New customers, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN. Bet just $5 to score $150 in bonus bets instantly. That's code THPN only at DraftKings Sportsbook.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In Massachusetts, call 800-327-5050 or visit gamblinghelplinema.org. In New York, call 877-8-HOPENY or text HOPENY 467-369. In Kansas, call 1-800-522-4700. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino Resort in Kansas and West Virginia, gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. All games regulated by the West Virginia Lottery. Please play responsibly in partnership with Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races in Connecticut. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. 21 and up in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after insurance. 1 boost per eligible game. Opt-in required. Max bet $50. 10+ leg required for 100% boost. Eligibility, wagering, and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.com. Sportsbook.draftkings.com/baseball terms.
Yeah, basically what I was referencing there is, I guess DraftKings got in trouble or something. I mean, they're a sponsor, so I shouldn't do this, but that was like 5 seconds of please try DraftKings, and then they gave us a mile of what do you call those? Disclaimers to read. Good gravy. Good job, DraftKings. You nailed it. Love having you as a sponsor. All right. Moving right along.
Let's get a few. We'll get a few comments in there too.
Yeah.
Jared, by the way, tagging the idea Yzerman looked like he didn't want to be at the conference. Absolutely right. And then there was Dan B throwing under 6 foot D-man if he can skate above average. Yeah, it's not me personally. It's not like there aren't guys who are awesome under 6 feet tall. Look at me and Matt. We're both under 6 feet tall. But yeah, Yzerman hasn't set much of a precedent picking those guys up. And Dan B also dropping a bomb. Mark, the Hitman Stahl, big free agent. Woo! I thought we did we have a couple other nuggets? I think we had a couple other nuggets for this episode.
One of the big ones, I thought this is another one that's coming from 32 Thoughts today, but I thought was interesting, and it still kind of relates to the Red Wings, was we've been kind of hoping, maybe we'll be able to talk about Michkov, right? Heading our way. Is there a chance that he'll fall in the draft, and then maybe we can trade up when that fall does happen? And what not Elliot, but what Jeff Merrick threw out there was that, by the way, Elite Prospects is totally shitting the bed right now. I don't know if anybody else is trying to jump in there. It is a nightmare. But bringing up the draft and who's drafting number 2. Of course, we all figured the Ducks and Pat Verbeek are going to chop off their willy for Adam Fantilli, right? However, Jeff Merrick got the text saying Pat Verbeek is a Steve Yzerman guy. Steve Yzerman guys don't care like what the masses are saying. They don't care what the scuttlebutt is. Pat Verbeek doesn't have a team that's ready to win the cup this year or next year. Pat Verbeek is drafting Matvei Michkov. Thought that was very interesting, because that I mean, if you follow along that line, that pushes a couple of guys down, right? And sort of starts to ask the question, like, now Leo Carlson is moving into the 4 slot, and if you have extra interest in Ryan Leonard right now that seems to be blowing up, is it possible maybe Carlson's the one who gets drafted 3rd? Maybe Adam Fantilli's dropping. Maybe people don't believe in the Michigan program or something, even though Matty Beniers kind of should be the evidence. It's doing pretty good. But yeah, it's something interesting to me, where really the question from Jeff Merrick was, where do we get the Moritz Seider moment, where the whole draft gets broken up because there's a Steve Yzerman like pick, and he's not necessarily banking on it, but he's ready for the big moment to be pick number 2, led by Steve Yzerman's man, his old butt, who's the Ducks signed him as an assistant GM out of Detroit. Is he just going to go Matvei Michkov because that is your super duper star in a couple of years?
Wow. Yeah, that's a wildly different draft. If that happens, I think it's to the detriment of the Red Wings, because I think the ideal have your cake and eat it too scenario is people get scared off by the couple years where you don't really control this guy, and he, honors his Russian contract. And that's, that crazy wild scenario where somehow everybody gets freaked out and he drops all the way to us somehow. Because that guarantees, Fantilli's number 3, and I think things kind of fall in line after that. So, yeah, Matt, that would be a colossal swerve for the rest of the draft. I hope that doesn't happen. It sounds like maybe something to get a few clicks on an article, because I think Fantilli is still, more of a premium position, a guy you can, kind of nurture in your own program sooner. I think that would be a stunning twist of events if he's not number 2.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It makes it exciting, at least, to see what Pat Verbeek's going to do, and it's going to say a lot about who Pat Verbeek is. Is he the Steve Yzerman guy, or is he just Pat Verbeek, who's going to go who we all think he probably should go with, the guy who can be inserted into his lineup this year. But again, you ask the question, is that really what the Ducks need next year? Because people are kind of, they make the list who's the most talented. And some people, I think Scott Wheeler included, as a guy we respect, Corey Pronman, have said, like, talent-wise, yeah, it's 1A, 1B, Connor Bedard, Matvei Michkov. But there's that extra risk mixed in. And Adam Fantilli isn't making the push to be 1C. So do you just want the best guy you're going to get in this draft? You're not going to get another Matvei Michkov, available to you maybe next year. Adam Fantilli might add too many points to that Ducks point total. I don't know. Could be an opportunity. Like, the Ducks could really build something here. If they suck ass again, then they could be picking up Yzerman next year for first overall.
I did want to hit just a few quick nuggets here. Matt, what do you think of, because Jim Johnson's dropping some names here. Would you go after Ekman Larson?
No.
I just think, Jim, he's got a really monster contract. So I think he's getting $8 million over the next 4 years.
He just got bought out, I believe.
Oh, did he? My apologies. Matt,
it changes the conversation, but it's
being in his 30s.
It changes the conversation, but it's like, I mean, there's a reason your boy gets bought out. I jumped in. I just said no right away. I know.
No, he's definitely more the prototype of like the size that Yzerman likes. I don't know. He smells like he's gonna, maybe try for a cup contender. I don't know if that's really a Red Wing move right now.
Yeah, it's like, to me, that was something when the move was first made, to bring him over. Like, I cringed at it. I was like, oh my God, this is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. The buyout happens and you're kind of like, okay, well, they're going to be spreading this out over a few years. There's a solution to be had, maybe a better situation. And it was just something where, they'd rather stomach paying this salary. What is it? Does it double up? Is it like now it's 8 years they're going to be paying it, but it slowly dwindles? And like the first year, I think it's really tiny. Then it grows a little bit year 2. But anyway, like, they'd rather be in that situation than putting him in the lineup. And that was a guy I wouldn't have gone after before. So in every single angle of this, Ekman Larson's a no for me. So I would not.
And you were right. It kicks out over 8 years. And the total is going to be 19-3.
And they'd rather deal with that,
Yeah, it's kind of like hopefully what we do with Sherrod. Stretch that out over 8 more years.
That's only 6 years at this point, right?
Yeah.
But we need Sherrod's contract, because now we're Cap Friendly still says we're in the negative for next season. So like we need to hit the cap floor.
Oh, we're at the floor.
Yeah. Jim also throws out there, who's your backup to Husso? Dan B thrown out there, Gibson. Jim Johnson throws out there, Korpisalo. I don't hate Korpisalo. I've always kind of liked him, especially like he had that relationship with where Manny Legacy was sort of grooming all the goalies in Columbus. And of course I learned about that after the tragedy with Columbus. And I think it's actually near my home, Manny Legacy's home. But it always kind of made like a soft spot for me for all the Columbus goalies. But yeah, Korpisalo would be one I wouldn't mind, and it would come in cheap, just like Jim said. And let's not forget, we're not looking for an answer here. We're not looking for the cup goaltender to carry us through. We're looking for a guy to just be the number 2, and he's had shitty enough statistics where that number is going to come in cheap. I know Steve in his presser made some comments about bringing in some guys for sure going for Grand Rapids. And that's kind of where like a conversation for Cossa, let's see how he plays out in training camp, goes. I also would rather Cossa just did not come up. I want to see some stages. I want to see Cossa take his time. I want to see a lot of development for him. So in that sense, you're just buying that extra year. You don't have to worry about it. And putting Korpisalo, A+ decision on my part. Ketzel join in. What's going on, Ketzel?
Yeah, I think that's a good pick. Matt, I think the funniest one for me would be Talbot. Let's just keep pillaging from Ottawa this offseason and see what happens. Even though he obviously had a poopy year, but
what Craig put out there, they could still sign Ned to a 1-year contract. I liked there's somebody that gave their hot take on the Red Wings filling their backup goaltender vacancy, and they were like, let's see, has had some success in the past, has gone up and down, so you can get him cheap. And then they're like, oh, I know, Alex Nedeljkovic. There you go, bingo. Jim throwing out there, Cossa will be in Grand Rapids for at least 2 years.
I do think that even though this is a necessary position, I kind of feel like might be at the bottom of the priority list.
It is weird. It's one of the things that Steve called out in the press conference. What are you going after in this offseason? And he's eyeballing. Like, that just says to me that he really isn't giving you anything. Because is that really on the top of his priority list? To your point, Mike, he can't sleep at night because he's got to put in a backup goaltender for a team that's not going to win the cup this year. It's not like he's looking to fill who's going to give Vasilevsky a break this year? And, we can't lose too many points because we got to get on top of the Toronto Maple Leafs in the standings. No, we're just putting a guy out there. We just need a guy. That's the point that we're at right now. So I think that's, if you want to put on your your tinfoil cap for the Yzerman press conference, that's the kind of thing where it's like, oh, wow, he's not tipping his cap to anything because who gives a shit about a backup goaltender?
Yeah, it's just that, I don't know. This team is recent years. It's felt like, we had a backup and then we've become super dependent on the backup because the starting has been so underwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe there's a little credence to that, but it feels like we have Husso. I think this town's pretty confident in him. We like yelling "Who" at Little Caesars Arena. It's not like we're going to be getting a big time goalie with a long-term commitment because we know Kossa's coming up. So, it'll be an older guy. It'll probably be a name that you kind of recognize. But yeah, I don't think they're going to be wading into, what are they going to go after? What, like Aiden Hill from Vegas? Like, is that really a thing that they're going to do?
No. Because somebody's going to way overpay him and put themselves in a terrible position.
It'll be a name you've heard of. I do like the Korpisalo pick. But even at age 29, he might be a little pricey. So I think that they're going to probably, somebody a little longer in the tooth, I would think, to be the backup.
I mean, this is so funny looking at this list too, because Bernier and Grice are on here, which for next season, unless we're making a huge splash, like I don't give a fuck. Bring those guys in. I don't care. Like if we're all gonna sit here, not all of us. If there's a group that's following Steve Yzerman in the front office of the Detroit Red Wings, and they're like, yeah, these all 5 picks. Let's do it. No problem. We do not need to upgrade this year. Then just sort, go to Spot Rack and just sort for who had the cheapest contract last year. Pick that guy up, put him in there, suck half your games because he gives up 7 goals a game, and you got a good shot at Yzerman next year on the first pick. Right?
Oh, looks like we're getting Hellberg. Looks like we're getting Hellberg again.
Yeah, just bring in Hellberg. I don't care. Bring in Hellberg.
Yeah. So, Matt, that's a no on Jonathan Quick from you.
No, that's a yes on Jonathan Quick. Please bring in Jonathan Quick. All right. Well, we're kind of wrapping up here. Do we want to pull up who we'd like to draft this upcoming Wednesday? Of course, we'll be downtown watching the draft with anybody who's also going to be down there with us. I have 2 picks, and they're based off of conversations we've had in the past. I think like there's some names we've talked about where they could be long gone. It would be wonderful. Like here's 2 names that I think would be exciting, but I'm not picking for our Red Wings Rant mock draft. cross your fingers on Ryan Leonard and Will Smith would be amazing, but I do think we're gonna walk away with like a Dalibor Dvorsky. That's my actual Red Wings rant pick number 9 pick. And then for pick number 17, I'm gonna cross my fingers on Gabe Perreault, even though I think he could be gone. And if he is, let's try Grayson Sachin from the Seattle Thunderbirds in the WHL.
I know that when we pick, I still feel like there's going to be a collective. Oh.
Okay. You
So I
mean like
wouldn't,
who cares or
No, it's I feel like we're kind of learning our lesson where it's kind of like, oh, that's the direction they're going in. I see. I don't what?
Yeah.
So
No,
I
I
would
know
be
what you mean.
surprised if we somehow end up taking the first defenseman, that Axel Sandin Palika. It just, we like plucking guys out of Sweden. He's a defenseman. We like making left turns when everybody's going right. Because there are some, interesting centers, available. If you're looking at the Dvorskys, you're looking at the Will Smiths, if those, knock on wood, that'd be pretty cool if Will Smith dropped. But Yzerman is all about best player available. And if he decides that defenseman, I'm not going to be able to find another defenseman like this. I still want to shore up, this core. I'm predicting that I'm going to be whelmed by the choice. So give me the whelmed Axel. At least he has kind of a cool name.
So I know we haven't done too much in regards to height, but I just want you to know you just pick like the shortest defenseman.
That'll be the first time that he does it, Matt. We'll be so gung-ho about big defensemen. Steve will do a left. He'll be like, I listen to Red Wings Rant all the time. Those guys don't know dick. I'm taking a little defenseman right now.
Brad New says, is there a Matthew Tkachuk out there? I would say Ryan Leonard is the first one that comes to mind, and maybe Zach Benson for like a number 2. I don't think we're getting either one of those guys. Or you know what, Zach Benson is definitely an option. I do lean pretty heavily in elite prospects and how they rank guys, and Zach's been ranked pretty high, but he falls pretty low in a lot of other rankings. So Benson's an opportunity. I think Ryan Leonard, brand new, is the guy that you're looking for when you're talking about a Matthew Tkachuk type, and he'll probably be gone a couple picks before we go. Stevie said best available player in his presser. Of course he did. What else is he going to say? That could mean so many different things. Jim Johnson, best available. Right. Jim's saying Zach Benson will be the best player available. And yeah, I will say this to Jim's point, best player available. I think a lot of these guys could just fall under that, boom. Whoever is sitting there's going to be 3 or 4 guys that I would say, okay, Steve, I believe you. That was the best player available for sure. It'd be hard to fight on it.
Crimson
Dan
Shadow
B throws in there. Simashev, 6'5". So Mike, there's your pick. I know it's silly because it's not like we're perfect right now, but there's something in me that I want to draft a forward when this is supposed to be one of the most forward heavy drafts in the last few years, and some really some big home runs. And sometimes when these defensemen get ranked high, sometimes I'm worried that they're just stuffing defensemen in there because defensemen should probably be in the top 32.
We got to break up all these
that's my fear.
Hall of Fame wings. But Crimson Shadow thrown in. We got so many Swedes. Might as well change the sponsorship from Meyer to IKEA. Boom.
That's a great idea, actually, Crimson. I don't know if you know what a great idea that is.
Roast number 2, Jared Shaw, our dude, thrown in best available. Ellipses in Steve's opinion. Got him. Roasted.
Boom. Danimals, Simashev is another left-handed D. So yeah, we'll just be loading up again. And hey, guess what? We could wait another 3 to 4 years for a left-handed D to pop into our lineup again.
One more Crimson Shadow too, just throwing in that the local sports guy is out on the Eiser Plan. I think that's only noteworthy because those guys never really watch hockey. So it makes me feel a little bit better about the Eiser Plan just reading that. So it's like, oh, good, things are about to come to fruition.
Jim also throws in there, you never know, we could hit some home runs in the second round. We're going to have 3 opportunities if we don't make any trades. So for sure, I mean,
you know what's funny, Jim, is the way
totally
that
possible.
you're using that analogy. That's kind of what it feels like Steve's like draft philosophy is, right? Where
yeah,
I've gotten very mad at him for not going hard into a tank and just like, I know the lottery's, a flood system, but my God, it's the only way to draft, 1 and 2. So instead, Steve is like, well, let's just take a bunch of at bats. Let's just bat, back to back in the second round. So yeah, I mean, he's maybe thinking that enough at bats, maybe he'll run into one.
I'm going to throw a couple other names in there that I think would just be cool, either with pick number 17 or if they fall back to the second round. I think number 1 on that list, which I think with especially the push that Corey Proudman's giving him, but Scott Wheeler was adamant he should not go this high, is Tom Willander, but Corey's saying he'll probably go in the top 12 now. But I'd love to see him
top 12.
Yeah,
I don't think I've seen that anywhere else. Is that really a thing?
Yeah, only because of his recent performance in the World Championships. He kind of underlined now. Tom is like, yep, he took a big step up when the games really mattered. But I would love to see Tom fall to us.
Wow.
And I think when we first talked about Willander, we were drafting him in the second round. So Daniil Boot, another fun one. There's one more name on this list that we've talked about, and could be Brandon Yeager. No, Samuel Hanzik. That's the other name where I would be happy with that draft pick. And based on some of the things that we were reading about him and the motor, and of course, just pure ability to put the puck in the back of the net. And then there's Noah Dower-Nilsson. Why not, right? Bring in Liam's brother. That was the one Hakan Anderson had that moment where he was slamming his hand on the table. Get me Liam. And I have made the argument that, what if he was accidentally watching Noah? So we should probably get both and see what happens. Develop both of them. If you guys needed to know, in my NHL 23 franchise, Noah is better than Liam. Noah made the team. Liam never got out of Grand Rapids. So just for everybody keeping track at home.
Well, Crimson throwing one in there too at the 11th hour. I'm just wondering if Lucas Raymond's slump was because he never got a consistent partner. First season, Burton Larkin. Second year, he kept going up and down the lines like crazy, like Kubalik. It was tough, right? Because it felt like a lot of guys were not able to really get consistent, pairings defensively, offensively. The lines, it just felt like there wasn't. It just never really clicked, right? So I don't want to write off a whole season, right? But in a year that saw Lucas kind of drop a little bit, even Mo dropped a little bit. I'm willing to, just do a little bit of a mulligan because we got to kind of reset the deck a little bit, and I think just get some better players in there and a little more experience. So, So I do think that consistent partner theory that you dropped first, Crimson, I'm willing to put money on that one.
Crimson also thrown out there. He's worried about Zach Benson's height. He'd be Igor Larionov Jr. And Brand New throws out there, as long as Chris Draper doesn't have any more sons left to draft, he'll be happy.
Brand New, where have you been? That's probably my favorite joke of the episode.
All right, we got to wrap up. Actually, last one. I really hope Berggren gets time with Lucas next season. If we are making moves next Wednesday, I think Berggren's one of the guys that's gone. But we will see you guys. If you're coming downtown to watch the NFL Draft Watch Party, we'll be watching with y'all. We'd love to grab a beer with y'all. So hit us up on Twitter. It's at Red Wings Rant. You guys can see it on YouTube here. And then shoot, let's cross our fingers. Mike going with what'd you say, Mike? You said best available.
I'm going with the best defenseman listed on Elite Prospects. Give me Axel.
All right. You still have a chance to switch it to Dmitry Simashev.
Nope. I'm taking a left turn. We're going to be very puzzled by this draft pick.
All right. I'm crossing my fingers for Leonard or Smith, but I'm going to say we're going Dalibor, Dvorsky, and then Gabe Perreault.
Look at Matt thinking logically. Yzerman doesn't do that. Come on, man.
I don't know if that really is thinking logically. I think I just fell in love with those guys because they're both on my NHL 23 franchise. All right.
Oh, boy.
See
Now it's time
everybody.
to end the episode. All right. We'll see you guys.
Have a good one. We'll see you guys next week. Oh, and no episode next week.